Welcome to these video notes by Dr. D. Today we'll cover Chapter 8 of Class 12 Sociology. Throughout history, social movements have played a crucial role in bringing change, whether it's for freedom, equality, or justice. But what exactly are social movements? And how do they shape society? In this lesson, we will analyze different types of social movements, their impact, and examples from India. Let's begin. A social movement is a collective effort by a group of people to bring about or resist social, political, economic, or cultural change. Key features of social movements are as follows. Collective action. People come together for a common cause. Aims for change. That is, they seek to achieve or resist some policy or change. Long-term struggle. Movements may take years to achieve their goals. Involves mobilization. Protests, strikes, campaigns, or awareness programs are used. One of the greatest achievements of social movements has been expanding voting rights and ensuring that all individuals, regardless of caste, gender, or economic status, can participate in democracy. Movements across the world, including India's independence movement, the civil rights movement in the USA, and women's suffrage movements in the UK, played crucial roles in securing universal suffrage, which is the right to vote for all citizens. As is obvious from this example, a social movement is typically directed towards a specific goal. Social change is continuous and ongoing and also a large-scale concept. Social change, on the other hand, is brought about when numerous individual and collective actions occur around a particular issue, across time and space. An understanding of this difference helps us to understand the three categories of social movements based on objectives. First, reform movements. They aim for gradual social change without overthrowing the system. Legal and peaceful means like petitions, protests, and lobbying are used. Example: the Brahmo Samaj movement, 1828, led by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, which worked to abolish sati and promote women's education. Second, revolutionary movements. They do not want gradual or incremental social change, rather they seek to completely replace the existing political or social system. As such, they are often radical and may involve direct action or rebellion. Example: the Indian independence movement, 1857 to 1947, fought against British colonial rule, using both nonviolent and armed struggles. Third, resistance movements. They oppose changes that threaten cultural identity, religious beliefs, traditional values, or the environment. Example: the Narmada Bachao Andolan, 1985, resisted the construction of large dams that displaced local communities. Social movements have evolved over time. While older movements focused on fundamental rights and economic justice, new movements address broader issues like identity, environment, and digital activism. Further, older movements used methods such as strikes, protests, and direct confrontation conducted with large-scale participation of workers, peasants, and oppressed groups. Examples are the Indian independence movement, 1857 to 1947, which fought for political freedom from British rule, and workers' and peasants' movements in the 1940s and 1950s, which demanded fair wages, land rights, and labor laws. New movements, on the other hand, rely on social media, global networks, and decentralized leadership and involve more varied demographics such as women, students, and global activists. Examples are the Chipko movement, 1973, which was about environmental activism against deforestation, and the #MeToo movement, 2018, which was digital activism against sexual harassment. Ecological movements focus on protecting the environment and natural resources. The specific issues that they address are deforestation and biodiversity loss, pollution and climate change, displacement of communities due to large-scale industrial projects. Major ecological movements in India are Chipko Movement, 1973. Villagers in Uttarakhand hugged trees to prevent deforestation. Silent Valley Movement, 1978. This movement opposed a hydroelectric project that threatened a rainforest in Kerala. Narmada Bachao Andolan, 1985. This movement, led by activists such as Medha Patkar and Baba Amte, protested against large dams on the Narmada River, which displaced thousands. Class-based movements have been undertaken in India by two groups mainly, farmers and industrial workers, and they have been concerned with the reduction of economic disparities. They seek to represent the interests of workers, peasants, and industrial laborers, oppose exploitation by landlords, factory owners, and capitalists, and demand economic justice and land reforms. Major class-based movements in India. Telangana Peasant Movement, 1946 to 1951. Farmers fought against oppressive landlords. Trade Union Movement, 1950s to present. Industrial workers demand better wages and working conditions. Farmer protests, recent. Farmers protested against new agricultural laws and unfair pricing policies. Caste-based movements essentially challenge the inequalities created by the caste system. More specifically, they aim to abolish untouchability and caste discrimination, secure reservations in education and employment, and gain political representation for oppressed castes. Major caste-based movements in India are Dalit movement, led by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This movement advocated for social justice and the abolition of untouchability. Mandal Commission protests, 1990s. The commission recommended increasing reservations for the other backward castes, OBC, category. The protesters, mostly students, agitated against these recommendations. Dalit Panthers movement, 1970s. It was inspired by the Black Panthers in the USA and it fought against the violence inflicted on Dalits. Tribal movements are organized efforts by indigenous communities to protect their land and forest rights, oppose mining and deforestation in tribal areas, demand for political autonomy and self-governance. Major tribal movements in India are Santhal Rebellion, 1855 to 1856. One of the earliest tribal revolts against British rule. Jharkhand Movement, 1940s to 2000. Led to the formation of Jharkhand as a separate state. Niyamgiri Movement, 2004 to 2013. Tribal people in Odisha fought against a mining project threatening their land. Women's movements seek to secure equal rights in education, employment, and property ownership, ending gender-based violence, dowry, and domestic abuse, promote political representation and leadership by women. Major women's movements in India are Anti-Dowry Movement, 1970s and 1980s. It campaigned against dowry-related violence. Self-Employed Women's Association, SEVA, 1972. It helped poor women workers gain financial independence. The #MeToo movement, 2018. It addressed workplace harassment and gender violence. Understanding the various kinds of social movements helps us appreciate the struggles for equality and encourages us to contribute to a better society. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, Comment and subscribe for more sociology lessons.